One night, a single mistake almost pushed two nuclear nations into war. No official statement, no headlines, no confirmation. But those who were there never forgot it, because what happened that night was buried deliberately. The border between India and Pakistan is one of the most sensitive lines on Earth, a place where tension never truly sleeps. By day, it's loud, patriotic, almost theatrical. But by night, it becomes something else entirely. Silent, unpredictable, dangerous. And on one particular night, something went terribly wrong. A shadow appeared near the fence, unclear, unidentified. Was it an animal, a civilian, or something far more serious? On both sides, soldiers noticed it. Radios went active, commands whispered in urgency, weapons slowly raised, because at this border, hesitation can be fatal. A flare was fired into the sky. For a moment, the darkness disappeared, and in that brief flash of light, figures moved, more than one. This changed everything, because now it didn't look like an accident. It looked like infiltration. And infiltration means one thing here: threat.
Orders were sent, but not all messages were clear. Static, interference, confusion. One unit believed they've crossed. Another believed they're about to attack. And that was enough. Safety protocols began activating. Higher command was alerted. And suddenly, this was no longer a small incident.
It had crossed a line. What started as a routine night patrol was now being treated as a potential cross-border threat. And at this border, that changes everything. Within minutes, higher command units were alerted. Phones rang in secure rooms. Encrypted radios carried short, coded messages. No panic, just urgency. Because the protocol was clear. Any unidentified movement near the border must be treated as hostile. To understand what happened next, you need to understand something important. This wasn't just about one shadow. This was about history. Years of conflict, mistrust, unpredictable incidents. At borders like this, soldiers are trained to assume the worst, not because they want to, but because they have to. Out there in the darkness, there was no luxury of analysis, no time to debate, only seconds to react. The soldiers on duty that night weren't thinking about politics, they were thinking about survival. Reports started coming in, not just from one position, but from multiple points along the fence. Each report slightly different, each one adding confusion. Some claimed movement was advancing, others said it had stopped, and a few weren't sure what they had seen at all. This is where things become dangerous, because in high-tension zones, miscommunication is often more deadly than aggression. A single misunderstood message can trigger a chain reaction. And that night, communication wasn't perfect. Weapons remained raised, eyes locked into darkness, every sound amplified. The wind, the rustling grass, even distant movement, everything felt like a signal. Backup units were placed on standby. Vehicles were positioned, but held back. No one wanted to escalate, but no one wanted to be unprepared either. It was a delicate balance. Minutes began to feel longer, silence became heavier, and with every passing second, the pressure increased. Because waiting can sometimes be harder than action. Night vision devices were used, scopes adjusted, angles rechecked, but the fog made everything uncertain. Shapes appeared, then disappeared. Nothing was clear. Then something changed. The movement lost its pattern. It didn't behave like trained individuals. It wasn't coordinated. It wasn't tactical. And slowly, that raised questions. Could it really be an infiltration, or was something else happening? Doubt started to replace certainty, and that doubt may have prevented something irreversible. As visibility slightly improved, the figures became clearer. Not armed, not coordinated, not human. Just a group of stray animals moving through the field, unaware of the tension they had created. Weapons slowly lowered. Radios went quiet. No commands needed, because everyone understood how close it had come. That night, no bullets were fired. No headlines were written.
Because the reality is simple. War doesn't always start with intention. Sometimes it starts with misunderstanding, with fear, with uncertainty. And in regions where tensions already exist, even the smallest moment can carry unimaginable consequences. That night was a reminder, not of conflict, but of how fragile peace really is. And perhaps the most unsettling part is that the world,